So I sort of afterwards was kicking myself because I was quite critical of keeping an eye on, Penrith's cracks and maybe foreshadowing them, and I probably got that right. And I think they've fixed a lot of them now, obviously. But
Hmm.
did we all? And we mention it every week how frantic at times Melbourne get and those sort of things. Did we all miss this coming? And by no means did I think Parramatta would have a team to do it to them. But maybe in a way, this is a loss they needed because sometimes you don't generally address some of those things when you're winning. But is it Barn or was this Parramatta just improved no end and are now back?
Well, they haven't been quite. Melbourne obviously haven't been quite as good as they have been probably the last 3 weeks or so. But as we've actually mentioned, the attack going a bit side to side, and I thought the Melbourne halves ran the ball more than I've ever seen the pair of them. But I think they both ran 850, 180 meters or something for both of them, which tells me they're either having problems getting the ball out wide or they're not confident in the guys that are outside them to take the ball. So
Yeah.
um, Olam had a bit of a shocker as well, which could sort of lead to that. But no, I don't think so. I haven't seen the Storm get sat in their seat outside and get run around the way that they got run around in this game. Um, the Parramatta's defensive effort as well. They probably saved 2 or 3 tries. Their scramble was brilliant. Their effort across the field in pretty much every part of this game was great. And their attack was night and day compared to what they've served up for the last, month, 2 months. Um, as I mentioned, I don't think I've seen Melbourne stripped on an edge like on both sides of the field like that in 2, 3 years. I know there was a couple. There was probably a few new defensive connections with Lumi out there, and then Josh Adokar went off, which sort of made him shuffle a few things around, and that's never going to help your defense. But the way that Parramatta, as we mentioned, Melbourne going side to side, Parramatta weren't going side to side. Parramatta were going direct, and they were picking players to run at, and they were getting within 2 or 3 steps of that player, and then deciding whether to continue running or passing. And they sat a couple of guys in their seat, which made the outside defenders come in, or the opposite, with the inside defenders go out, and they they gave Melbourne's defensive line that many problems on the outside edges, and they just continued to score tries in the corner. It was extremely impressive. Moses' kicking game came back. His kicking game hasn't been great. It's never been bad, but his kicking passing game was absolutely on point in this game. I don't think I saw him throw a pass or put a kick up that wasn't close to as good as you could possibly do in the position he was in. I don't know where that came from and why why he just absolutely clicked into gear in this game, but he was he was brilliant. And as I said, I haven't seen the defense get stripped like that. And Melbourne's attack was disjointed on both sides. I don't think Pappenhausen's helping them, to be honest. I think they were in a groove with Nico back there, and now they're sort of readjusted to the way they play, because Nico plays more on that sweep play, whereas Pappy plays more towards a bit more direct and back through the middle and different angles
Yeah, Pappy
than what
relies on the
someone
ruck.
giving him a
Yeah,
hole rather
like
than Nico,
yeah,
where he sweeps and creates holes for other players or
yeah,
himself.
yeah.
It disjointed their attack a bit. Obviously, they've got a week or two to fix it. Resting all the players isn't going to help, but it's probably they've got a week out. They win or lose, they'll still be there for the second week of the finals. So they've got a couple of weeks to fix it up. But there's a couple of issues there that Melbourne do need to address. Papali'i absolutely regained his form. He was back to that beast mode that he was in, a month ago. And Paulo probably had his best game of the year. I've been at times critical of him during the year that he hasn't been putting out what we're used to him putting out, but he was really good. As I said, Moses was absolutely pulling the strings, and Dylan Brown was probably his best game of the year. But yeah, other than that, any other
Ollie,
thoughts, boys?
what did you take out of this?
Yeah, well, I've said multiple times before, if you're any chance of beating Melbourne, you've got to at least stay within arm's length, so to say, for that first 20 minutes. If you can't do that, then Melbourne usually go on and they usually beat teams by a lot. Not only did Parramatta stay with Melbourne, they were better than Melbourne, I thought, for that first 20 minutes. They came out firing, got in Melbourne's face, sort of shook them up a bit, and that sort of laid the foundation for the rest of the game. Of course, there was that period where Melbourne were able to get back into the game a bit. They got the lead towards the end of the first half, which Parramatta got back. But they weathered that storm well as well, the Eels. The only other two teams I've seen do it, funnily enough, well, one team is Penrith in round three, and the Eels again in round two, of course, that really wet, rainy game. And it was sort of a similar performance from the Eels, I thought, sort of getting at them early. And I think that's what Parramatta have worked out about Melbourne. You just got to come out all guns blazing, not necessarily play too conservative, which I think is the idea that a few teams get into. Okay, we've got to play conservative, not try anything because Melbourne will hit us, but you do sort of have to go at them to give them that bit of a shock. And Parramatta did that, and they ended up going on to win. There wasn't really a bad performance from an Eels player. I thought none in particular, at least anyway, in this game. Of course, your Papali'is were immense, and Bryce Cartwright coming off the bench. I thought the bench for Parramatta as well played relatively well in terms of Cartwright. And when Makatoa came on, I've brought him up over the past couple of weeks as being the only good player in a bad Parramatta side. Well, he sort of kept up that form, and it obviously helps when the rest of the side are doing their job as well. So, yeah, that's what I can really take away from this game. Are Parra going to continue? Well, if they get a win over Penrith, they'll be the hot side heading into the finals. Can they, though?
They're not even trying, so it doesn't matter. And maybe missing a trick there, to be honest. Then they've named a reserve grade team.
Yeah.
But in terms of, as I said, maybe we missed what was before our eyes in terms of the Cowboys put 12 or 18 on them early. The Titans did. I think Canberra did all the way through, and they were able to get out of jail. But you can't always do it. And to be honest, I think they need to look at starting Nico and trying to just keep the rhythm they've been in. They missed that, and starting Cheese and keeping it simple. That was the
one thing I was going to mention. They didn't have that 1-2 punch out of the dummy half. They didn't have that extra gear to go to where they take Cheese, move him into the back row, and then Harry comes on. Harry was flat towards the back end of the game and looked gassed. Probably a good thing going forward to get a bit more,
get under his belt.
For the next couple of weeks.
And obviously getting Nelson and Finucane back will straighten everything up a little bit better as well. But at the end of the day, what do we take out of it? I guess I think all teams just look at it and go, oh, maybe they're not unbeatable. And maybe I've trumpeted a bit, and maybe it's just a shit comp and they had a good run. But so Parra, do we go back and say, right, Parra are finals chances, or is this an anomaly or grand final chance?
They're a chance of maybe winning a final this year.
If they play like this, they will. Is the thing, which is the first time in since 2009 or something.
You can't forget they beat Brisbane 58-0,
whatever it was.
Yeah, that's true.
A couple of years back.
They're the first team since the West Tigers to beat Melbourne twice in a year. And last time they beat Melbourne twice, they made the grand final. So we'll see what that all means down the road. If you've nailed the Parra players, if they turn up and play like this, and it's a big if because we need to see. I think they've missed a trick by not trying to at least give it to Penrith, because they're giving Penrith a walkthrough. Penrith can now play a better team and not have any risk of it. They can take players off after 20 minutes now, whereas
absolutely.
They could have at least lit a bit of a fire. But
and if Melbourne win and they're not a chance of winning the minor premiership, they might even drag players out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, that's right. They haven't actually played yet, have they? So we'll wait and see who takes the field. So very interesting. I guess it peaks. If Storm had won the other way around, we'd all be sitting going, Storm are probably morals, and it's a bit boring. So,
Parramatta supporter, I'd be pretty excited. There were some good things to see out of that game.
Well, BA's still got a job now.
Together for 4 weeks.
After 6 weeks of wanting his head, he's back. Brad Arthur.
They're going to have to do it for another 5 weeks in a row, but
yeah, we'll see. I guess we're going to see 3 to Papa'ihi, 2 to Moses, 1 to Gutho, or are you going different order?
Just find where I am on my page. I'm looking at the whole different spot on the page. That's not good. Papali'i with 3, Moses with 2, and I gave Munster 1.